Hi guys, welcome back to another cinematic mic review. Today I'm reviewing Ed Harris's Appaloosa. Appaloosa stars Ed Harris, who is from The Rock, State of Grace. He's in Apollo 13. He's also in A History of Violence. It also stars Viggo Mortensen, who's actually from Carlito's Way, Lord of the Rings, and Eastern Promises. He's also in A History of Violence. Uh, from what I remember, because I haven't seen this film in a long time, but I have seen it. From what I remember, A History of Violence was actually a good film, and it starred both Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen, and now they're here starring in Appaloosa together, which is pretty cool. Appaloosa opens up with this gang that led by Bragg, who's played by another great actor, Jeremy Irons, and they're confronted by a sheriff and his deputies, and I think they're being confronted because they need to be arrested or they need to be killed. The thing is that Bragg actually lets them know he's not going to be that type of person. That he's the one in charge and that they best go away. And the cops prove that they're really there to take them in and end up drawing on them. But the sad thing is that Bragg actually ends up taking them out. So now in this town of Appaloosa, they're running things around. They're being disrespectful. So some people from the town of Appaloosa end up hiring Viggo Mortensen and Ed Harris's characters of Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch to come in and take care of the place because they're known as peacekeepers. They're lawmen. They set laws and they keep the peace, and they want to put order back in the town of Appaloosa. Now, I just did a review on 310 to Yuma, and 310 to Yuma is you can't compare 310 to Yuma to this film, but they're good in their own way. I feel like 310 to Yuma is more like action packed, more suspense, and this one's more relaxed than what 310 to Yuma is, and that's something I like about this film. It was a bit different. It didn't compare it to 310 to Yuma, so I felt something fresh in a Western film with this film. This film seems more like it's between these two characters of Everett Hitch and Virgil Cole and their friendship and how they have respect for one another. And that's something I like about the film because when you watch the film, you can tell that these men, they met each other and they kind of have each other's back. And not only that, it seems like the person knows the other character really well. They don't need to say anything. They already know what that character is thinking. They already know who's beside them. They know they can see what next move they're gonna do, and it's something like Virgil ends up always getting stuck on a word, and Everett always comes to complete that word for him, knowing what word he's looking for to say. And I think that's nice. I think the friendship is really nice of Everett and Virgil. You can see that Virgil in some scene, and there's a scene where because a woman comes into this story, which is played by Renee Zellweger, and there's a scene that Virgil wants to know what did she say about Virgil, and Everett's kind of being a little bit mysterious. He's keeping kind of a little bit silent about what she's saying, and you can see like the nervousness in Virgil. You can tell by the way he's talking. He's a bit nervous. He's a bit shy, and he really wants to know what she said about him. And so that kind of feels like a little kiddish inside of Virgil's character, which makes me sympathize for him. The dialogue is also straightforward in this film. Every character ends up tying something, like they're very blunt about what they say. It's not like some lazy writing, lazy talk. It's really like straightforward business all the time. That's kind of the character of Virgil. Virgil's character is really honest about what he says, and I think there's a line that he says, "Tell a man what you mean," and I think that goes for everyone in this story. Every character is telling the other character basically what's up. So I really enjoy that straightforward talk of the screenwriting right there of the film. Renee Zellweger's character Allie gets involved here. She comes out of nowhere. It's something that I didn't really like about the film is because her character Allie comes on the train. She arrives to this town. She's a new person in this town, and she just comes out of nowhere. And her scenes are mostly her wanting to know who Virgil is, and then just wanting to be with him right away. But the thing that I didn't like is that I don't know much about her. I don't know a background. I don't know where she came from. I don't know if she's running from something, and I don't know what she's looking for. And in this film, it's kind of odd because she ends up with Virgil, but Virgil is friends with Everett, and then there's a scene where she's already building a house with Virgil, and she invites Everett in there, and she starts kissing Everett. which makes it odd because now you're like, why did she do that? Why? I'm not saying why she did that because that's messed up. I'm saying like, what was the motivation for her to just go to Everett? And not only there, there's also a scene where she gets held hostage. She gets held hostage, and then they end up seeing that she's running around naked with the people that kept her hostage. So it's just her kissing another guy and then being with another person and then goes on to another person, and they kind of talk about this, that it's that she wants to be with the top dog. But I really still felt in the writing of her character, it's just I just didn't care for her that much, and I didn't get this whole thing of her going from one person to another person. uh, I didn't understand, I didn't understand the motives to that. So that's something I didn't enjoy about the film. As I said, I like that this film's more relaxed than 310 Yuma. It's toned down, it's calmer. There's not big action sequences like 310 Yuma, but there is some action in it. But it's very subtle, and I like that the action is subtle in it because it feels more real that way. It feels like a real story. It feels like a story you might hear about, and like there's two duels, and when you get to the duels, they happen really fast, you're like, well, that's what a duel is like, and it seems like the timing is probably what a real duel would be like. It does not a shooting for like 10 minutes. They get down to business, and this it's mostly two duels that happen in this film. But I actually like how it leads up to the duels. I actually like how the things that end up leading up to that part, which makes it really well. I like the costumes, and I enjoy the locations where they filmed at. The music's good too. The score, I like that it has this somber and kind of this Western heroic type of vibe to it. So that was something else that was enjoyable about the film. I think Appaloosa is a good story, but it's not totally great, but it's still a good decent story there, and a decent Western, I believe. So it's worth a watch. It's not something that I definitely would recommend, but it's worth a watch. And I don't think it's bad at all either. I like the characters in this film, and I like some of the scenes in this film. That's my review on Appaloosa. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.